Hey guys, and welcome back to the Matthew 5:14 podcast. Today I'm so excited because it's one of those special days where I have a guest on the podcast, and today I have Miss Cailey Cooper. Cailey has been a friend of mine for a couple years now, and I know that she's going to share so much truth and wisdom with you guys. She is proof that God still performs miracles, and so I can't wait for you guys to hear her personal story with that. She is definitely the most hilarious person ever. Like ever. Her jokes are so funny. And she really, whether, she believes it or not, she lights up every single room that she goes into. She leaves it better off than she found it. And so I know that you guys are going to leave, after listening or watching this podcast, better off than you were. And hopefully you're going to laugh some too, because that's just, an inevitable thing when you're in the presence of Miss Cailey Cooper. I also have coffee. So if you hear it rattling, if you guys are watching, then you can see it. If you are listening, then you might be able to hear it. I was really tired. This is my second cup, but we're not going to, act like it's my second cup. This is my first cup.
Coffee and Jesus.
Yes, coffee and Jesus. Okay, so let's say hello to Miss Cailey Cooper.
Hi. Like Carter said, my name is Cailey, and I'm so excited to be on this podcast today. I can't wait to share some nice insight and my own testimony, and hopefully it can speak to y'all if y'all are around like the same situation, or if y'all are going through like something that is horrible or you think is horrible, but I can give y'all hope. Hopefully I can do that.
Oh, then that's great. I think it's going to be awesome. And yes, definitely stay tuned and listen in, no matter what season you're in. Even if, you're in a season that isn't one with lost hope, maybe this message you can share with somebody else, or maybe one day it's going to be able to apply to your life. So listen in with big open ears. So the first thing that I really want to talk about is just your testimony to finding Jesus, because in a podcast that's going to come out before this one with Raven, if you guys haven't listened to that one, go ahead and listen to it. It's really good. But we said that, there's such thing as what people would consider a boring testimony, where they never really had a bad past and then they came to know Jesus. But then there's also the testimonies where you did have a bad past and you came to know Jesus. And I know that that's how, yours was. Both are beautiful because both involve people coming to know Jesus. So I would love for you to share your testimony and offer hope to people that may be in that bad past still, or they've walked through that bad past and they still feel shame and guilt from it.
Yeah, so I definitely do not think that there is anything called a bad or boring testimony. I feel like every testimony, it's called testimony, is a testament to how you came to know God. And in the end, that is just a miracle in itself. You may not think it, but it is, because you know your Lord and Savior and you start to love Him. And it's just amazing the experience that brings, and the joy it brings to your heart. And we will all fall short as Christians. And I feel like a lot of people do not realize that when you become a Christian, you're still going to have hard times. You will still fall short. Some people who aren't Christians, who aren't walking with the Lord yet, will be like, oh, it's going to be so easy, and it's going to be so much fun, I guess you could say. I'm not going to go through anything bad anymore. But that is the complete opposite. I don't want to say you go through worse. Yeah. But it does, if people around you aren't necessarily Christians and feeding in the right things to your spirit, it can be a lot harder than it was before you declared yourself a Christian. I know for me, I was involved in church my whole life. I had always been going to church, but then the summer right before 9th grade, I had fallen back a lot. I started getting into the party scene. I started doing so many things with boys that I shouldn't have been doing, and that wasn't even respecting myself and my body, because God says our body is a temple and we need to respect it and take care of it, and I definitely was not doing that. And then Skylar, our Carter and I's friend, she invited me to church around 10th grade, almost 11th grade. And that's when I started getting into church more, and I started getting to know Jesus more. And it was just an amazing experience to start getting to know Him, and I loved it. I started becoming happier. But then, my health, I guess, started declining, and that's when I kind of took a step back from God. And it is bad, but it's it's not going to be hard. I mean, it will be hard, but it's like God will pick you back up. You're not just going to like sit on the floor and you can cry out to God, and just because he is like you don't feel him or he's not speaking to you does not mean he is not there. Like, he is always there and he's always listening, and I hope everybody can know that. And I remember when I kind of declared myself as a Christian, not my first post on Instagram, but one of my posts, I was actually with Carter and Skylar. It was on Easter a couple years ago, and it was a picture of us, and I put some Easter verses, I guess you could say, in the caption, and I lost hundreds of followers. I used to have like almost 2,000 followers. I'm down to like 800, but I feel like that's not something we should worry about, because it was the opposite for Carter. Like you said, you gained followers, right? And then I ended up posting a picture and video of me getting baptized,
which was awesome. Skylar and I actually baptized her.
And it was the best thing. It was amazing.
If you guys hear my dog barking, she's upstairs barking. I think someone knocked on the door. So if you hear her, whatever.
But I lost more and more followers after the baptism post, and then I started losing a lot of friends too. And the friends would stop like inviting me places and stop telling me stuff, and like which made me very sad. But then again, like it also, that verse in the Bible, it says like you will face prosecution as a Christian. I think it's what it says.
Yeah.
And I just had to like keep on remembering that. I ended up falling into a deep depression because I was so sad I was losing friends. But one of the things that one of my friends said, I mean, we're not friends anymore, but she was like, I can see Jesus through your eyes.
I love that.
But that scares me because I feel like I'm being judged. That's what she said. So I was like, I love that you said that, but like that second part, I mean, I'm glad you could see Jesus through my eyes, but I don't want you to feel like that Jesus is judging you for anything like you do. He still loves you. He can still save you. It's just you really need to get in your heart that you want to be saved. If you're just like, oh, I want to get to know Jesus, I want to go to church, and I want to be saved. And I guess you say that, well, I'm saved, but like you're still not following God.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's kind of a two-way street. If you want to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. It's not just one thing. You can't like say you're a Christian, but then you don't pray, you don't like read your Bible. But that's like, a lot of people struggle with that. I know like we have definitely struggled with that and reading our Bibles, and it can be hard, like worshiping and praying too. Because sometimes, like, you will just get so sad and not want to read your Bible. Or you could just be, like, tired and lazy.
Like, you get distracted. And I definitely know, like, you know, the reality is, like, there is an enemy of our soul. And so that means, like, you know, the devil, he doesn't want us to read our Bible. So he's going to try to work through anything to cause us not to read our Bibles or to pray or to worship. And so if it looks like, you know, tiredness, if it looks like distraction, you know, being too busy, being upset, you know, whatever it is. But if we make that time for Jesus and we put him first in our life, then everything else is going to follow. So I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, I have all this going on. It's like, no, like, it's so important to make time for that, because then Jesus will make time for everything else that you need to do. And I've seen him do it many, many times in my life.
Yeah, and one thing that encourages me to read my Bible is just every night at 9 o'clock, I have an alarm that's God's time.
Love
and
it.
I, like, right before, sometimes it's not at 9 o'clock, sometimes it'll be, like, right before I go to bed, which is either after or sometimes before. And I look at it and I think, I get to read my Bible. And I, like, always say that to myself, because there are so many places in the world where they can't worship Jesus. They can't even proclaim themselves as Christian, let alone like say, oh, I have a Bible and I'm reading it and I love it. They will literally get like burned or put in jail for it. And it's so sad. So I say I get to read my Bible and I'm I'm going to do it as much as I can in case, like, it, like, happens to America. And, like, it's so scary nowadays because we were also talking about Revelations and, like, reading that Bible is very intense.
Yeah, definitely.
That book is very intense. And it's just so scary to hear about some of the stories that Christians have faced. So that's another thing. If, like, you don't know how to start reading your Bible, or you feel like you're too, like, tired, like Carter said, it's just say to yourself, I get to read my Bible.
That's awesome.
Because you could lose that chance any day. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with the world. Like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. But God says He is the past, the present, and the future. And it's just, like, it definitely, like I said, it's very scary. So it's just, like, reading my Bible is honestly, like, so precious to me. And I definitely, like, savor that. And I love that. And back to, like, my testimony, I would step away so much because my health kept on getting worse and worse, especially over this past year. And I would just not like completely step away from God, but I was so close to just not proclaim I'm a Christian anymore and go back to my old ways when I was a freshman in high school. And then my favorite dog, who was my best friend, ended up dying earlier this year. And that's when I, like, basically completely stepped away from God, it was so bad. And I was suffering so much from depression and anxiety. And I did try to kill myself multiple times. And I didn't search for help from anybody. I didn't tell anybody about it. I just wanted to be alone. And one night, I ended up taking a bunch of pills. And I was hoping I could die. I ended up going into a very, very deep sleep, but I woke up the next morning by God's grace. God was just like, I am not finished with you yet, and I don't want anybody to think like He's finished with you. Like, He has made a way for us. He is a way maker, and you just gotta, like, keep on reminding yourself that too. If you're in a very hard season, just say, God has made a way for me, even if, like, He's not directly talking to me. He's still there. He's listening to you. He's not ignoring you. He's just not ready to speak to you yet. And a lot of people, like, forget about that and like, think, well, He's not talking to me. I'm not going to be a Christian. I'm not going to listen to blah, blah, blah and what they say and X, Y, Z, all that stuff. But, like, I feel like that's also a most precious time, too, is, like, in that waiting season, because I was in that waiting season for a long time, waiting for a surgery that I really wanted to happen for my brain, and it was, like, for so long. I had migraines for 7 years, and it was awful. I hated it, and I was strong in my faith in, like, the beginning, but then, like, this year kind of, like, just fell off the rocker. I wanted to go back and smoke weed all the time and drink all the time and party all the time. And even though I didn't have those old friends, I feel like if I was still friends with those old friends, I definitely would have fallen into that, but I wasn't. So I was able to, like, not go back into that. And plus, like, Carter and Skylar and then some leaders from our church, I even, like, told one of our leaders, I was just like, if you did not continue to text me every single, like, week and check in on me and invite me to church, I would have not been a Christian anymore, I guess, like, to say. I would have not even prayed, not even read my Bible. And then a couple months ago, I was told that I was getting the surgery, and I was so excited, so happy. But even, like, before then, in last November, not this, November of 2021, I was reading my Bible when I was in Florida, and out of nowhere, God said, Cailey, you will be healed. I just started bawling my eyes out and praising God for that. And then, but I was also kind of angry, like, is that all I'm going to get? I'm only going to get those couple of words? And
especially, like, when you wait, like, so long, it's easy to, like, you know, think that the promise is never going to come, and then if you only have those 3 words, it's like, okay, God, like, I have been waiting. Like, I've been wanting to get healed.
Yeah, it's just like, it was very tough for me to like hear that, but I was also very thankful for that. And then like this year came, and then he added more like words to it in like the middle of this year, and was like, in my time you will be healed. And I was like, well, that doesn't really help me, God.
Yeah.
Like, in your time you will be healed. What am I supposed to do with that? And I feel like a lot of Christians face that when God will tell you something, and they're just like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, he will just say something, and then there will be that long break where you don't know. But that's why it's so important to keep on praying about that. Like, if God gives you words, they're not just words. Like, God does not go back on his promises. Like, if he makes a promise to you, it's true. It's true.
Definitely.
Like, he will not take it back, and he is a loving, forgiving God, and he is also a way maker. And I feel like it's definitely like you need to pray on those words and pray that he gives you like more of that and feed it into you. So then like I still kept on waiting, and then when I finally got the news that I was getting the surgery, I became much more stronger in my faith.
Which I think like I definitely, before we keep going on with your story, I want to add on to like a couple things that you said like previously, because I don't want to like miss them. So like backtracking all the way to your testimony, I love how you said like you lost like respect for like your body even. And I think that that's something that like in our world that we don't realize, that when we're partaking in sin, like not even sexual sin, but in like any sin, like that's not respecting our body. And our body is like a gift from God. And it says like, I praise you, Lord, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like our bodies, and you said this, like our bodies are temples. And so that's just a reminder to you guys, like in our culture that like promotes, especially with like models and, you know, eating and exercise. It's so easy to create this perfect body image and, you know, this perfect lifestyle. And we think that, you know, less is more when it comes to clothing. And we think that, you know, we have to do all these different diets or eat all these different things or, you know, do this with guys, do that with guys. When in reality, like the Bible gives us a guide of how we're called to live. And so, like, respect your body. See it as a gift. Cherish it. If you don't see it as a gift, ask God to reveal it to you as a gift. And, you know, have respect for it in the way that, you know, you conduct yourself with men, the way that you, or, you know, men, the way you conduct yourself with women. And, you know, have respect for your body and what you wear and what you eat and how you exercise, and see it as a way to honor and glorify God. I think it's also so great how you said that when you were going through the dark season and the dark time, and you were really tempted to go back to your way of life, you were so glad that your old friends weren't there. And then you said you were glad that you had Skylar and I and the leaders, you know, who were inviting you and stuff like that. And, you know, that's a reminder to you guys that we're not called to do life alone. We need people in life. We need people that are going to hold us accountable. We're actually accountability partners, and we hold each other accountable, and we let each other know, like, you know, the sins that we're struggling with, the things that we're going through. And you need godly community, not just friends that you can gossip with, not just friends that you party with. You need godly community.
Pantry friends.
Do
you remember that thing? That one of the pastors at church spoke a message, and she was talking about godly community, and she was like, you need those pantry friends.
Oh, like you can like go, wasn't the message like you can go in the pantry and like talk with them? Is that what it was?
Yeah, like, well, there's those like tight-knit circles that you can have, and you honestly need to like savor those too, because like, I don't know how to like explain it. It's just like pantry friends. That's just what I want to say.
Pantry friends. Wow.
Because like some pantries are just like so small, but that's okay. It's like quality over quantity, and I feel like y'all don't need to like worry about having so many godly friends. Like even just one, like accountability partners. Like that one godly friend can be your accountability partner. I honestly think I'm a great accountability partner because like, I told Carter, I was like, I will literally scream at you if you do something.
Oh, yeah. Cailey is definitely brutal, so, like, knowing, I mean, in a good way, though. So, like, knowing that, like, you know, I have to be honest with her about what I've done, it's like, I'd rather just tell her I've done the right thing. And, but that means I actually need to do it. But yes, to really have godly community there with you and for you, because when you're going through the trials and the tribulations and the hardships and the temptations and the dark seasons, but also on, the mountaintop, the good seasons, the celebratory seasons, they're going to be there to sit with you, weep with you, comfort you, but they're also going to be there to exalt you, lift you up, and, be there for you in the fun times as well. So that's really great. And if you don't have that yet, pray for that. Pray for godly friends. And don't be afraid to send out an invitation to somebody. Like, if you see someone posting that they go on social media, actually, the way our whole entire friendship got started, Skylar, she was posting that she was doing stuff at our local church that I went to, like on again, off again. And I've been walking with Jesus for like a year and a half, and I didn't have godly community. And I've been praying, and we all went to high school together, and we were never friends growing up. We were polar opposites, all of us. And then
we literally lived like on the same like street.
Yes, we lived all within 5 minutes of each other, and never knew it. And then I just reached out to Skylar and asked her like if I could if there was something that I could join, like some sort of small group, something. And she was like, yeah. And I joined a small group, and ever since, like, we became friends and became best friends, which was so fun. So don't be afraid to send an invitation out to somebody, especially if they're a follower of Christ. I think a lot of people are like, oh no, like, what if they say something bad? But it's like, most likely they're going to be so excited that you're reaching out, and they're going to want you to join them, come with them, be a part of something. But also, don't be afraid if you're the one sending out the invitation to invite somebody. So, ask to join or invite somebody in, pray for that godly community, seek it out. Because Cailey wouldn't be where she is without it. I wouldn't be where I am without it. And I think most people can, testify to that. I also want to add to what you said about like losing the followers. Because the Bible tells us like, this world, when Jesus was in this world, he said, this world hates me, so it's naturally going to hate you. If it loved me and it accepted me, then it would love and accept you. But they hate the one that sent me. They hate God, so that means they're going to hate you. And that's not like a scary thing, but it is saying that like there are going to be people that, aren't going to like you for your faith. And that's okay, because it's not between you and them, it's between you and God. And when you get to heaven someday and you're facing your judgment with Jesus, it's not going to be in front of those people who didn't like you. It's going to be in front of God, and he's going to ask, did you love me? Did you follow me? And so that's really great to know, like, that's okay to lose followers. But also if you gain followers, because, people followed Jesus. So he had people who hated him, but he also had people who followed him, and loved what he taught and loved him. And so you're also going to have people that are going to follow you because they want to know the Jesus that you follow. So don't despise either. Be thankful for both, because it's an opportunity to grow in your faith and to learn how to love and respond to all people, because that's what Jesus does. And then you also said how, when we become Christians, a lot of people either think when they go into faith or they look from the outside in and they think that, Christians have it all together, they have no trials and tribulations. But in reality, like, we do.
We're messed up. We're not like in a bad way, but we still have some stuff that we go through, and it's hard. And
because the reality about it is that, like you said, we're still human. The difference, though, that a lot of people see where they think that Christians have it easier is not that we have it easier, but our perspective is different. We have a faith to see that there is more to life than just this life. We have a joy, a hope, a trust in Jesus, the creator of the universe, the author of our lives. And so even though, like, when the storms come and the waves come and the seas come and the hardships come, our joy is not found in this world. It's found in God. So we're able to weather it, a whole lot better. And so I think that's awesome. And you also shared a little bit about, you wanted to take your life. And I think that there's a lot of people in this world that are also in a similar place like that and going through that. And I just want to be a reminder to those out there that may feel that way, like, your life does matter. Like, you are here for a purpose and a reason. There's this saying, if you still have a pulse, then God still has a purpose for you. And no matter how dark it is, no matter how hard your season is, no matter how badly you don't want to be here, like God wants you here. God has you here. And if you left this world, then you would be missing out on the opportunity to touch people and make a difference in people's lives, because there are other people who need you. Because Cailey belongs here. You know, I need Cailey. Skylar needs Cailey. This world needs Cailey. Because
everybody needs Cailey.
everybody, apparently. But, you know, that's so important to realize, is that, like, the world needs you. So you matter. You're here. You belong here. And so hopefully out of all those different points, one could resonate with you. And now I want to go ahead and transition into the second part of this podcast. So we're going to finish up this first part and dive into the second one.